And boom, we might be live. I don't know how this works again. Alright, so we're doing this again. It was a while since the last time I was trying to do a Twitch stream. But yeah, I'm gonna do another one today. Today I'm thinking about going to look into Firebase, which is like a new, or it's not new, but for me it's kind of new tool that I'm using. It's kind of fun. It gives you ability to skip basically backend, and instead of that use the Google's Firebase integration. We're just gonna do a really small part. Oh yeah, and it's Hacktoberfest, so that's awesome. So that brings me to the project that we're gonna be working on today. I'm gonna switch screens now, like a fancy Twitch streamer. Whoa. So this is a thing we started yesterday as a Hacktoberfest kind of challenge with my friend. It's gonna be an open source accounting software. I know what you're thinking, that accounting softwares are so much fun. But they are actually. It's pretty fun. So we're gonna do that. First thing first, though, this is the current state of the application. As you can see, it's amazing. There's like a thing you can click on, a thing you can click on again, and that's pretty much it. So it doesn't have much, but that's good enough for us. What we're gonna do today, or what I'm gonna try to do, is add another thing here, like a submenu, which gonna say add a journal entry. And then here in the main screen, we're gonna have a table which will enable us to like create a new double entry journal entry. And then the fun part comes, because this whole thing is like hosted on, like this one runs on my local machine, but we're using Firebase to kind of host this as a final solution, and also to store data. So we're gonna do that. And that's what I'm gonna start doing today, like integrate the database and make sure it kind of works. So we're gonna, yeah, whenever you click like create this record, the journal entry, it's gonna go and store it in a database, hopefully. That sounds fun, right? Okay, so here's the thing. Let me just switch here. Yeah. So here's a thing where this is Firebase, which is like a general term, I guess, for the whole suite of tools you can use. Has two kind of databases. One is real-time database, the other one is Firestore. There is there are some differences, I guess. Firestore being the newer one, I believe, but they're both no-sql document kind of things. So when you started this up, you need to like pick a location where your database want to be located and stuff like that. But I've already done that. And then you can create location. Like let's just go through it here so we can see it visually. But then we're gonna do it from the code, of course. So you would just name it something like a table in the normal relational database. In our case, it's just gonna be, I guess, entries, or like journal entries. Boom. And then document would get like some ID, it's not important, and we can put some values here, like whatever, value 1, string, whatever, 1. And now we have it. Not only you can do simple fields like this, value data, right? But you can also do rows, maybe. And then you can do array here. Cool. And we can say, can we do map, right? And we can say count. That's going to be a number. You can see 12. and we can say whatever, credit number 0, debit. This is getting a little bit too accounting, but bear with me. I'm just gonna trying to create one simple example of what we're trying to create from here, so you can see it. We're gonna change this to be a map again, and then we're gonna say account number is some other account 321, of course, and then on the credit side we would make 100 here, and then debit would be 0 again. Yep. 0, like so. Cool. So now you can see that you can get pretty complex with these documents. Like in traditional relational database, I would have to have 3 tables right now, because I have a journal entry, and that has a list of rows, and then I guess 2 tables, yeah. So I would have a special table just for the rows, and then link to the journal entry that they belong to. But now we can do it inside here. And as you saw, I was able to do, like, each item in the array is actually a map. So it's like an object in JavaScript or something like that. So it could have like a multiple, fields. And cool thing about NoSQL is that, in 1 week from now, we're gonna decide that the rows should also have like a date maybe to them or something. And in NoSQL database, that's no problem. You don't need to change schema of a database. You just start pushing the new data in. And then wherever you like collect it, you need to have a fallback if it's not, there. But it's pretty free in this way. What I think is kind of useful is to have some sort of, in your application, have some sort of interface that maps to these documents. So that's how we're going to build it in the moment anyway. So then that you would have some idea of the structure of the documents that you're putting in. But the thing is that the Firestore, the database kind of engine in this case, it doesn't care. So you can change that. That's pretty neat, right? So that's that. So now we've done this manually by clicking here. We can then later create a application. Oh, let's do that. That's maybe easier. Let's start by just listing whatever we get from this folder here. All right. So now we're gonna see if I know how to code stuff. So let's see. Welcome to the code. This is the project we started yesterday, as I mentioned at the beginning. We call it AirNumby, I guess. And it's just a very simple React app at this point. This is the entry point you get in. Let me use something fancy maybe, and then show how it actually looks like on one side of the screen, and then make it impossible for me to see what I'm typing. Awesome. Right, so we have just an app. You get in, you get to this dashboard side. This is the dashboard side. If we look in the dashboard side, the dashboard page, it's composed of the side nav bar, which is this orangey thingy, and then there's this book, right? Pretty simple. What I've added before as well is this, like in the sidebar, there's this bookkeeping section. When you click it, you can see that the URL changes here to be bookkeeping. So that's the area we're gonna start working on. So actually, I was kind of lying with the Firebase integration. First, we just gotta do some React stuff to make sure stuff like appears where it's supposed to, and hopefully then we're gonna get to the Firebase stuff. But it's gonna be fun for sure. Let's do that. So I'm not used to working with this screen. but let's see, maybe that's gonna work. So right now, this is a React router using. So basically it looks on the path you've taken here and gives you, and the switch means it's gonna pick the first matching route, and then that's what it's gonna show. Right now we just have one route and there is no condition, so it always will show this, no matter here, right? If we go to wherever, it's gonna fail. What? That's not what I expected. Why did it fail? Oh yeah, because it's down. Sorry, my bad. So we need to start it first. Yeah, I was like preparing for this, right? That's why it worked before, but then, okay, let's hide this. And then, let's try again. Wherever you go, wherever, you get here again, because it just catched by this route. But now we want to have like, when you click here, we want to go somewhere else. We want to show some like bookkeeping dashboard in this case. So let's do that. So I believe you do it this way. I mean, I don't write React that often, so I'm probably messing it up right now, but let's see. Cool. I think I have. I think I have used this pattern when I'm saying my route somewhere as a constant. I do that, yes. So we're just gonna use that. I don't know why I'm doing this. Well, I guess you could then, because you will have at least 2 points where you need this name of the path, like the link where you click, and then this router. So that's why I put it somewhere else as a constant. In this case, it's AirNumby value. But you don't have to do that. Hey, it must be very wobbly, right? This is not a good table to be typing on. Sorry about that. Core nav items, boom, bookkeeping. This is amazing. And then we're gonna create a new page. So let's open back this up. How I structure it, there's no right and wrong, right? It's just fun in codes. But what I do is in the source folder, I create a pages folder, and then I put my high level pages. And then whatever is not page goes into components. Yeah, and then there are contexts and other things, but those are not that important at this point. Yes, so let's create a new file here. Let's call it bookkeeping dashboard, just to be super page tsx. So there's this kind of cool fill. We can do that. Bookkeeping dashboard page, boom, and we can say dashboard. Sorry, I'm gonna hide this side so it's readable. So this is like the simplest React component you can build. I like the functional one. I think that's like recommended nowadays anyways. So you just do function and whatever that function returns. This is JSX format, so it's like HTML with, you know, you can do JavaScript here and be happy. So that's that part. And now we can take that, go back to our app where we built this route, and put here bookkeeping page. Boom. So what are we seeing here, right? It changed. It just says dashboard. Our sidebar is gone, which is not what we wanted. But that's something, right? So right now, if we go to homepage, we get this, and then I click this, and it all breaks. And then if we look at the dashboard page, we're following this structure where there's some stuff, but let's just take this. I can explain it a little bit, but that's not too important. There are tons of different ways to doing this. So what I'm doing here just gonna import this. Boom. What's happening here is that we're saying, please make this page flexbox or display flex, and then make it span the whole site height-wise, height-wise, I guess is what I wanted to say. And then in here, there's going to be sidebar, and next to the sidebar, there's going to be content. So that's what we're going to do now, like change this, not to say dashboard, but something useful. And but you can see that already like kind of changes, right? The book was the original thing, and then we go here and it says dashboard. So that's already amazingly useful website, right? Okay, so that's fun. So let's now do something weird. So I'm thinking right now, let's just fetch all the journal entries. So we created one. So let's fetch the one entry and show it here from the Firebase, right? We created this one entry here in the database. Let's show it on our website. That's going to be amazing. How we do that? Okay, so let's go to the docs. And then you go to build here. If you haven't seen my video before, this is what I do. I like just go and Google and read, and it's very slow, not prepared at all. Yeah. So basically you have different ways of interacting with Firebase. We're doing React, so that means JavaScript. So that means like a web. I guess that's the icon here from these guys. Yeah. Cool. And then we can say read data. Oh yeah, and that's pretty cool thing. So Firestore comes, like you basically use their client, their library that they've written already, and there is very little difference in amount of work you need to do in order to get data once or listen to real-time updates. And listening to real-time updates is really cool. Like it. So what does that mean is that your page is gonna update without you pressing F5, right? Whenever the data changes, your page is gonna reflect that. And then if you couple that with React state and some kind of hooks or like UseFX to kind of fetch stuff, that's really powerful because you don't need to think about it. Like let's say you're like editing a record in your table. After you've edited it, you don't need to think about refetching all the data so that in the other side where you show them all, you get the correct data. It just happens automatically. Or like you're working with two tabs. In one tab you change something, the other one gets the update right away. It's really cool. Yeah, I mean, Firebase and Firestore isn't the only way to do this. It's just that it's really convenient, right? So this is the snippet we kind of need. So let's do that. Let's do this first. Yes. Before we do that, we need this DB object, which is like a reference to our database. Okay, so how do we get that? They talk about it and get started. By the way, they have awesome tutorials how to do this. Way better than what I'm trying to do now. But this is where we are. Right. So basically what you do, you take some kind of, it's not secret because it's in your public code, so it's going to be downloaded to the browser of users. These API keys, project IDs, alt domain. So that's kind of weird thing to wrap your head around. Like you take these, in traditional database, this would be secret API key, right? So you wouldn't expose it to the browser. It wouldn't never leave your server. But the way how this API key works is that it does leave your server, that it goes to the browser. That means that it's kind of possible for attacker to take this API key and use it in a different app, not the one you've written, or like change it a little bit. When you do some restrictions in the front end, he can remove those, or she, or and so on. But then there is another part of this, how they designed this Firestore, and there is a security rules that we're gonna talk hopefully in a bit. So whenever you code this, you need to have in mind anybody can use this, anybody can do whatever they want unless I forbid it in the security rules. So you need to be careful about the security rules, kind of. Like when you started out, the default security rule, hopefully we will see that, is don't allow anything. And then you're safe, right? But yeah, so let's do this. So we would do that. Boom. Firebase, okay. No correction. Whoa! I'm pretty sure I have the, maybe I do not have them. I might not have them. Well, let's install them. I might not have the SDK, so let's install it. Oh no, wait. Wait, no. So they have a version 8, which I was used to using, but now they're switching to version 9, which looks cool. So let's do that instead. Try to learn about how that works. I think they changed the API significantly from these two versions. So let's get 9 here. Okay, well, I guess we can start doing this. Let's just put this here. Yeah, it's not here yet. Hopefully it's gonna be here soon. And then we do this. Oh yeah, I already made mistake. The initialize app, you should call that only once. Now when I put it here, which is basically a render function of React, this is gonna run not only once, it's gonna run whenever like probes would change, or whenever like this component gets mounted and unmounted. So maybe when we like click away and click back here, it would run again. It would run again, but I don't know if that would be a problem or not for Firebase. So what we want to do more likely is to initialize actually here, because that file, I believe, should be loaded just once. Yes. And then of course I copied the old version, so now you should do this, I guess. And then you just do this. Boom. So this is pretty neat. I might compile. Find in Firebase. Let's find in Firebase. Okay. Good. That's this. I'm recompiling. Sometimes when you do like a big changes, the what's that thing? Node.ts thing doesn't catch up, so you might need to recompile like this. So now it doesn't complain. It probably will crash or something. Still, no, it actually works. Maybe you got some complaints. So we got each child in the list should have a unique key. That's my bad. That should be, of course. So let's fix that. That's not related at all with what we're doing. It's just that I messed up somewhere else. And now we have this, so I want to get rid of it so we don't have that confusing. So right here we're doing nav items, and in React, whenever you do a map, the first thing you build, the JSX item, needs to have a key attribute, otherwise it's not happy. It can be whatever, just needs to be unique within that map. In our case the path is, so let's use that. and we're not getting this anymore. I'm also doing this somewhere. Side navbar. Let's get rid of this. Boom. Cool. This looks perfect. All right. So this looks like it might work. I lost this one. Nice. So this looks like it might work. That's what I just said. Let's move a little bit further. So add data, we've done that manually. Let's not do that. Yeah, let's do that. This is amazing. No, this is still adding it. We wanna read it. Read data here. So now we wanna do this. So, but this is written, this tutorial, like no matter what kind of framework or approach to your frontend are you using. Like this is not React specific code, right? This is just JavaScript, it's pure JavaScript, or like TypeScript in my case. But so in a way, in the React, what you would do, you would handle this slightly differently. So we're gonna do that in functional component like this one, because what we're trying to do is avoid going to the database multiple times, right? Even if you don't have to, because as we said, this will do, well, not this one. Let's do the snapshot one, but it will do the live updates. So we don't want to refetch every time. But what you can do here is you can use that UseFX hook. Let's do this one. And how this works is whenever something changes in this array, in the second argument, this function will rerun. So you would put all your dependencies here. But for us, it's just database. Whenever database changes, which never happens, we would rerun. Well, when I say never, I mean it will happen exactly once when the database is initialized. So that's pretty neat. Let's move it up. Okay. Right. So UseFX doesn't like await keywords, and that's because, yeah, the way it's built. That's what I say if I don't have answer. So yeah, but that's that. But let's start with this. So right now we're getting docs. So that's one time thing. That's not using these live updates. Just adding the imports, like, you know, it added it here, so it's no magic. It's using the database, and it goes in for users table, or let's say collection, I guess is the word. But our collection is called journal entry. So let's copy this. How do we copy this? Okay, let's do it like old school and type it. Journal entries. Hopefully we'll match it. But because we said it doesn't like wait keywords, but what wait keywords do, they work with promises, right? Whenever in JavaScript you have a promise or some asynchronous operation, takes some time, you get back a promise, which is like kind of token that promises that will resolve at some future point to some actual value. So in this case, in the future, we will get documents. So what we're going to do here, we're going to say after we've gotten the documents, do something, right? So you can do the then keyword. So what will in UseFX, sorry about the squiggly lines, it's I bet it's kind of confusing, but so the UseFX will like fire this request and finish, because then he's done, right? He's done what he needed. But then we still have this async callback that's gonna be at a later point called in, and we can do stuff here. So for the first iteration, I guess we get documents here. Yeah, right. Query snapshot they call it. Let's call it query snapshot as well. Yup. And then query snapshot has, what does it have? Docs. Nice. a function? I don't know. This is not callable. It's not a function. Of course not. Well, let's just console log it. Because this is not going to work. I bet. So this compiles, but when we look at, oh, it actually returns something. This is not what I expected. Why I didn't expect this is because we're doing this, right? We're initializing app with a bunch of nonsense, which is not the actual API key for our use case. Anyways, let's try to do more stuff. So let's do the actual correct API keys and see if that's gonna help things or not. So to do that, we need to go somewhere. Project settings. Here we go. So this is like API keys and stuff that are specific for this Firebase project of mine. You might be like happy that I just show you secrets, but as we told before, this is not actually a secret thing. It's gonna get included in the browser. So let's do something like this. Well, actually, what I like to do with the Firebase configuration is just create a separate file, put it there. Because what I tend to use in the real life is that I have two projects, one for development and one for production, let's say. And then you want to have like two Firebase configs and then exchange them based if you're in production or not. So we can do that. And then just import it here. What we want is this, and then maybe in utils, this is a good place as any. You can say Firebase config ts, boom. Yeah, this looks pretty good. And then we're gonna just export default this Firebase config. Right, and if I'm later on, I can add something like, you know, if prod, then return something else, right? The other config or something. Right now we don't need to worry about that. So that's the Firebase config, the real one. And here, boom. And we're gonna get Firebase config, boom. Let's see what happens now. Nice. This is what we wanted actually. First of all, we're not using this. Oh, and you might be kind of confused. So, because we're like initializing the app here, but then calling get Firestore and not using the app. The get Firestore by default has like one singleton kind of architecture where it has one app by default, and that's what it's gonna use. You could create multiple apps, but most of the time you don't need that. So then you don't need to use that Firebase app. Later on, I will probably refactor this because right now we're initializing the app here, which is not the ideal place for it, because we will need database in many pages. So initializing it on every page is not, doesn't sound good for some reason. So we will probably move it into a hook or something, and then you will initialize it only once, always, but at the beginning, right? You initialize once, and then you get the DB once, and then you serve. Cool stuff. So right, yeah, this is what they say, right? You don't have permissions and stuff, which is not good. We want to read journal entries. If we go back here, Firestore, there's a tab called Rules. Yes, I'm gonna make this bigger. So they have their own kind of language here to defining rules. Right now it says allow read write if false, so it never allows read or write, which is the correct default configuration of your database. Yeah, but what you want to do, I guess, is read more about how this works, but let's just say it works this way. You can say journal entries. So it's trying to match a path, and the last thing is the ID of the document. If we, yeah, well, whatever. Let's say I'm gonna get back to this. Read through. And you might notice that I left this initial denier in there still. So whenever you don't match anything, you still get false, which is what you should do. Like the default should be deny, and then you explicitly go and reopen a little bit, just the thing you may notice I removed the write because we don't need to write just yet. And of course in the future when we gonna involve authentication and stuff like that, this will have to change. It can't be true. It needs to be only for authenticated user and only for the user for that corporation that you're including the journal entries for. But that's maybe too complicated at this point. But anyways, so that's that, you know. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm going to publish. Now, this is a good tool, right? You could use this this thing, and they have this rules background, which is awesome. So you can say whatever, journal entries 1, 2, 3. Will this work? Yeah, you will be allowed to read because this tool will let you do it. Problem here is that it's not, it's not versioned. It's easy to make mistakes, stuff like that. So the solution is that whenever you set up Firebase project, it gives you a bunch of stuff, including. No, I haven't done it. Well, that's even better. Let's do it. So there's a Firebase, I think, in it. Well, I have to Google if it's not it. It is it. So Firebase in it is a CLI tool. As you can see, I'm running it on my command line. It gives you a bunch of options and it pre-configures stuff. So I've already done hosting. That meaning that, and I've deployed. So if we would go to app, which is the thing, AirNumby.com, we come to the website. It's the older version. It has 2 bookings. I was playing stuff, but the hosting is done. But I haven't done the database because I haven't needed it at that point. And you can run this Firebase init as many times as you want. And you here in this interactive tool, you get to choose which part of the Firebase you wanna, initialize. So we work with Firestore, which is the database thing. There's a real-time database, as I mentioned. Those are like 2 different databases. They have slightly different features. They are both no-sql. We're using Firestore. Don't ask me why. No, when I was looking and comparing them, Firestore sounded like a better, newer version of real-time database. Firestore. I press spacebar. You haven't seen it. Press spacebar, then it like changed the color here, and then you could choose more fun stuff, right? But we're just doing Firestore. And now it already has a default project using a readme. Okay. This is the thing. What file should be used for Firestore rules? This one, please. What file should be used for Firestore? Okay. That we haven't talked about. Let's forget about it for now. Firestore rules. So now we have this file, Firestore rules here, which I guess downloaded the latest version. But you can see that it's not formatted nice. If I save it, it will not do it. Okay, it's not very nice. But now I saved it. I removed this space. You can see right? And then if we, let's do something crazy. Let's do false again, right? And then if we, like, obviously I just change a file on my local hard drive, nothing happens on the server. Let me demonstrate it. Now let's do this again. So if we go back to rules, just go away. Yes, you can see it still says true here. I changed it to false here. And then to make it take effect, you would do Firestore Deploy, I think. No, Firebase, sorry. Maybe. Yeah, so Firebase will now try to deploy all the things. So it's doing hosting again. But somewhere in this mess it said I've done Firestore as well. As you can see, they're not using a real-time database here, so it didn't update automatically. But if we refresh, hopefully, let's see, it's back on false. So let's change that to true again. And because the hosting actually takes some time to do, we can just say only Firestore. So only deploy Firestore. I don't care about hosting. Deploy complete. Yeah, if we refresh, it's probably okay now. Yes, it says true. And if we do this again, yeah, we got something back here. Some weirdly readable stuff. But it's fine. Let's see why. If we go back here. So this is a very long way to explain to you what just happened. But we're saying, give me all the docs. And then, oh wait, let's have a look at their documentation. What is supposed to do. Doing the for each. Let's do for each then. Right, so we get, here it is. With object, blah. It's horrible. Why is it doing it? Yeah, let's not do this. Let's do this. So it's stringifying it, right? So then we just get that object thing. But if you do this, it won't stringify it, and it gives you like a JSON object. And then we see the rows. We just fetch the data. So this is kind of useful, but not enough useful. But we wanted to show it here, right? So let's do that. To do that. Okay, one more thing before we do that. This one, get docs, is one time getting the documents. You just get, or is it? Is it? I don't know. Read data. To quickly verify, you can use get method. Trying to understand if this. Let's look at it. Listen for real-time updates. Ooh, I'm gonna sit down. My back is clammy. Right, so there's another. It's on snapshot. So instead of get documents here, you do on snapshot. Is that what you do? Very red. That's another version with the collection. I suspect it's because of the document. Oh, here we go. It's getting to be a little bit complicated, but we're still copy pasting our way through this. See the query, DB, and it was journal entries. We don't need wire. Just give me all of them. and then unsubscribe. So we can just return it here. I might talk about it in a sec. Now we get query snapshot. We don't need that. Yeah. So what I'm normally, I'm gonna stop pretending. So what I'm normally doing is that I've got this utility function that does from Firebase document, single one. It does something with IDs as well, because I wanna in my object have the ID, while in the document, if we look at this, the ID isn't included in the document. It's here the key, but it's not inside the document. So I have this function that I've written to get the data and then put the ID to it, if you know what I mean. And then it does some other stuff, which is not that important. And it also have a plural version, docs, for like collections, like in this case. So we can do that. Let's do that. So this will be entries. And we do that. Boom. And we say yes, query snapshot. Maybe docs. That's it. And we have entries. Let's console log them, just to make sure when we rewrite them to snapshot, it still kind of works. Well, we can actually demonstrate a snapshot right now. Right, so it still returns something. Let's refresh. Yep. And let's say, okay, it's one value data. What if we would change this to be, I don't know, heck. Notice that we got another call here, another console. I guess it's kind of obvious because it's a lifetime update, but that's what's happening. And we got the new values here. So this function is called with the new values. Also, you might be wondering, because Firebase, the pricing structure is you basically pay for the number of documents that you read. And if we're reading the whole collection, only one document changes. Does that mean that you will, read all the documents again? Pay for all the documents that didn't change? And the answer is no. Firebase, the client, has kind of figured it out. So it will only refetch and charge you for the document that changed, not all the documents that changed, that didn't change, sorry. Cool. So how do we use the entries to like populate this page finally? We've been talking for ages, done nothing. And to do that, we're gonna use state. Let's just call it entries then. Set entries. And use state. Let's just for now do any array, I guess. And then in here, let's call this new entry so that it doesn't conflict with the new, like with this name right here. And then we're gonna do set entries. New entries. So whenever we get an update, we're gonna call this setter of the state, and that's gonna update state. And if you're familiar with React, what does that do is that whenever the state changes, the whole thing will what's the word? Like redraw. There's a better word. Yeah. So we've got entries here. Let's use them. So you can say entries, entries, and a map, and entry, and then let's just do diff, entry ID. Yep. Yeah. And I've done a mistake, of course. So what we want to do is this. Perfect, right? So let's try something. Let's add another document. And notice that there is no structure at this point. So I can do whatever I want. I can say name, and I can say blah blah. And I haven't put any rows here. I've just put name. Did we say even name? No, we said value before. It's totally different document. As you can see, you don't see it that well, but because display flags, let's fix that. So we already got 2 values here, which is pretty neat. And other thing is that that's the thing I mentioned at the beginning. We're not using, because the structure is pretty vague at this point. What you probably want to use is your client level enforcing of the structure a little bit. It's still going to be way more flexible than the relational database structure, where you would have to go and to like MySQL and change the structure, add a column or something. Here you just change code and it starts working, but it will still help you, guide you, because right now when you do entry, right, I knew there is an ID field on it, but if I do entry dot, it doesn't help me because it doesn't know what fields are there. But we can make it help me. So how do we do that? We would go into, I haven't no models yet. So what I usually do in source directory, I create a folder, call it models, as in data models, and then I create a file. And this one will be journal entry ts. ts is TypeScript, so which is the superset of JavaScript. It's like JavaScript types. And then we can say export, even default, I guess, interface, journal entry, and then it should have ID. What does the journal entry should have? I guess date would be good, like created date. Yeah. And it should have row. So yes. And what should be rows? So let's define another interface here. Also exported. Interface journal entry row. So rows now will be journal entry row array. Looks pretty neat. So journal entry row should have an account, which is a number. It should have credit side, which is a number. And it should have a debit side, which is a number. Anything else? Nah, I think we're good for now. Alright, so how do we use that? We now have this cool entry or fetching mechanism. Why it doesn't work? So we need to change this any to be journal entry. Then it complains here. So this is a little bit tricky, maybe a little bit confusing, but in TypeScript as well as in other languages, there are such a thing called generic functions and generic stuff. I guess you can have generic classes and different things. Basically, you put another. You just saw me use it in use state, and I wasn't talking about it. But you can use like a, I don't know how you call this, like decorator. I don't know. Say a type, without specifying the concrete type you're gonna push in. You're just saying, I'm gonna return you array of this type, and then the return value of this function is gonna be whatever this type was. Yeah, it's a little bit confusing. So what we can say here, we can say this is journal entry that we're getting back, and now we have new entries. And now if I do dot, I get ID created rows, right? Yep. yeah, I think that's pretty good. All right, let's do one more thing. It's not gonna be database already. Because I'm kind of running out of both time and battery on my laptop for some reason. I forgot my charger now. But yeah, it's correct coder. Let's do something crazy and then take all this mess that we've done. Does that all make sense? Should that all go to version control? No secret files that should not go to version control. No secret files like that. Oh, I'm on the wrong branch as well. Horrible. I guess it doesn't matter. It's just me at this project right now. It's very bad. You should never do that, what I'm doing here. Like, I'm reusing branch that I used for something else for this as well. So let's not do that. But, doesn't matter. Let's commit this, say, Firebase, setup, boom, we push. Okay, alright. I'm gonna do something here, which you will not see, which is, I guess you can see. It's not that important. I'm gonna go to this AirNumby project. It's gonna tell me this branch has changed. Do you want to do pull request? Yes, please. Create a pull request. That's what we're doing. Merge pull request. I guess merge. There's some Firebase comes with pretty neat tools to set up GitHub Actions for you as well, which will build the project here. They would build it here and provide me a link where I could see a preview of the app after it gets deployed before I merged it. It's pretty cool. But it also, that when you merge to main or master or whatever the thing is, main, then it's gonna trigger another build. This one and this one is gonna deploy to places. It's gonna be amazing. When this is done, this is local. This is local. But if we go to the app, AirNumby, this is gonna change when it's done. Like, this is the production URL and deployment. Yeah. Anyways, we can come back when that's done. Let me go away with this. Boom. And then there might be something else cool to do. Yeah, so I was saying that we should probably add sub items in this navbar. My design skills are on the level of a toddler, but I guess just lines with the what right now we just need like a dashboard which will show something more fancier, but I need to rebuild this anyway because this whole thing needs to be locked up in a user/organization like a namespace. Right now we have journal entry, a high level collection that just have all the journal entries, but in the real world what you want to have is have that locked down per user, per organization probably more likely, and only people from that organization should have access to see these journal entries, of course. So I need to rebuild that. But I will reduce a lot of stuff we've done because we needed to have that database connection working. Okay, yeah. I don't know why I'm talking so much about nonsense, but let's go here. Side navbar. Boom. Now we're gonna do some React fun. So this is the component that does this right, left, orangey thing. How I've designed it is that there's a path, which is a path which is like the URL path. The icon, this cool thing, the blue thing, I bet you haven't even noticed, but it like changes color and it's really cool. Then the text, and then the arrow. What we also want to have is, I guess, have a child nav items. So let's do that. Let's do children. Thinking if it should be nav item, or we need some different thing. Nav item is probably fine. I'm not gonna do the icon, but that's fine. Boom. Right? We can say children. Boom. Yep. Path. So this will be the dashboard. The path will be the same as the where this guy will lead you. What does that mean is when you click this or the dashboard, it will still go to dash bookkeeping, which is fine. That's what we want. That's what everybody wants. Let's do icon. Let's do not only any or no. No, let's do something different. We can make it optional because I don't want to have icons on the submenus, just the high level stuff. Text. You can ignore that. No, you can't because I can't. So using like external file to keep all the text. That's because transability, like the ability to translate that to some other language in the future. Not English, or not my bad English. Anyway, so let's say dashboard is pretty. Dashboard. And we already have a journal entry, which is the other one that I want to do. So dashboard, boom, is active. Let's leave it to false. Let's just make it optional, I guess, as well. Boom. We don't need to put it here. What else? What else you missing? I guess children. Children will be empty. Nice. Yeah. Need to rethink this thing later on. Well, let's not worry about it right now. Cool. So this is this is this is the line. This is this row here. So this is the high level item. And now underneath that, we want to show the sub items. Oh, let's actually do the other one as well, so that we have some fancy things. And let's do core nav items. Let's add one more path to it, like new entry. No, wait, what? What am I doing? Ah, makes sense. Let's call it bookkeeping. New entry. That's called new entry. Comma case? No. Boom. So that's that. We can do. Why I'm calling this core is because the idea is to have actually like a, I don't want to say plugins, but like some way to extend this because it is open source accounting, and it would be nice to have like external applications, just plugging it, putting some cool stuff in. A journal, boom. Still nothing happens, which is cool. That's fine. Let's do this. Boom. Diff. Oh, now it's not happy because we need that. We can do React fragment here, I guess. why I'm doing React fragment and not the shortened version is because that thing needs to have a key, and you can't do that in the short version. This looks fine. Short version, of course, being, by the way, React fragment, it's a React thing to say, well, because there needs to be one parent attribute when you're returning stuff. And what we've done before is we had this line, and then we were starting to create something below it, and then you would have two items. You can do that in HTML, but you can't do that in JSX, or like, I guess, React, I don't know. So you would create this artificial what's the word for it? Whatever. Artificial item, React fragment, that when then it's translated to HTML, it's translated to nothing, and it will just take the insides of it. So there is a shorter way to do that. You can just do this. This is a fragment, and then you would do boom, and this is a valid fragment right here. So this will be translated to nothing. But you can't do key on this thing, right? You can't do key because that's not how it works. But if you spell out the whole thing, React fragment, you can do key there. And we need to do key because we're mapping over items, and when you're mapping over items, you need to have a key so it knows which item to recreate if something changes. Cool. We can call that item. Items. This is going to be like a collection, because later on we need to figure out a way how to hide this if this is not open, right? If we're in this situation, you don't want to see these items. Let's do that some other time. And then we have nav item. No, how did I call it? Yeah, nav item. Children and map. Let's map here. Map. Child. Nav item. Boom. And then let's see. The nav item should be actually pretty similar to this one. If we just steal this code and change it a little bit. Yeah, so first change, it's have to be, no, okay, no, that's correct. No, well, that's a bit confusing. Right now I'm replacing all the nav items. What I've done is Control D, which will find all the same text, and as many times you press. And we replace it with this. That's cool. We don't want that. Oh, and we can see on the right side that it's actually doing something. You also don't want the arrow. Boom. Let's call this subknife instead. I guess we don't need deflex. Do we need deflex? I know, but let's make a margin start 2. No, didn't work. Let's see. Now we're getting to, oh no, it did work. Let's do margin start, whatever, 5. Nice. Nice. Maybe we should get rid of this padding below, so it's just keep the one above, right? Makes sense? Does that make sense? Is it gonna look weird? No, it's gonna be fine, I think. How did we do that before? Yeah, here. Let's do button 1. Oh, no, that's not what we've done before. I guess we're doing it somewhere else. It's a navbar item. Who gives you this padding, man? there's a pending one on navbar item. So let's change that. Let's go to navbar item. I guess I have it in here. Bar item. Oh, this is not nice. Oh, I never know which one is button. Let's try. I think we go around. What just happened? It's this one. This one should be one. Let's do 1, 0. Yes! That should be 0. Let's do 0, 2 maybe. Cool, cool, cool. Let's do one more thing in here. Let's copy this so that we have multiple and see how that looks like, although we don't have the second one yet. That makes sense to me, I think. Yeah, that's good. And we click this, and we click this, and you see the URL on the top. It's changing. It's supposed to. So it's awesome. It is awesome. Yeah, the active thing doesn't work, but I need to figure that out. Well, well, well. I think I will cut it here. Boom. Boom. Cool. So we've done like 25% of what I promised to do. Something like that. It wasn't too bad. We've done the actual Firebase integration here. So that's at least something. Yeah. I'm always too optimistic what I can do in this quick stream, because I end up talking to myself a lot and then I do nothing. But yeah, so this is pretty neat. Does things. It talks to the database here, fetches the data. It's pretty neat. I guess I would leave it to like questions if there are some. Otherwise, I'm just gonna disappear. And I think that's it. Alright, well, thank you for like watching if you've done that. I don't thank you if you like haven't done that. And then yeah, see you around, I guess. Then I'm gonna press stop here, and that's that. Bye.